So it really has been a day to remember here, a day that no one really expected would unfold this way. Remember last night I told you about a deal brokered by EU foreign ministers, a Russian special envoy, the president and the opposition about ending the violence here. Well, that deal seems to have disappeared, just as the president disappeared this morning. And of course then Parliament called for his impeachment and early elections. The president meanwhile shot back from the eastern part of the Ukraine, which had been flirting even with ideas of secession, to say that everything that happened here today was a coup. Well, it didn't really feel like a coup, because although President Yanukovych was democratically elected, it was also the parliament, including his own supporters, who have now got rid of him. I spent the day on the streets of Kiev, and what I found was truly astonishing. In the dead of night on Independence Square, all eyes are on one procession, the saddest kind of procession. The open casket bears the body of 22-year-old Alexander, an architecture student and demonstrator. He'd been shot in the head, probably by a government sniper. Remember this image and these faces. It's because of them and the president turning his guns on his own people that everything else you're about to see was made possible. Early morning, and Kiev is a capital of glaring absences. The president has left town, so have his forces. Thousands of them just vanished. Let me take you on a tour, courtesy of the revolution. First stop, the president's office, the seat of power. In theory. Once a fortress of presidential defiance, now guarded by a small posse of protesters turned people's militia, taking revolutionary selfies. Next stop, Parliament. Here too, the revolution is now in charge. The riot police have been replaced by the freelancers of law and order, and everyone is on best behavior. The sound you can hear is from the session inside. Later in the day would vote for the impeachment of President Yanukovych and fresh elections in May. The demonstrators have been trying to get here for months. They were prepared to fight for this place. Well, now they've just been able to walk in and reclaim it. Next stop, a short day trip out of town. Rumours had spread that the president's private residence was now open for visits in his absence. We were all going to the zoo. We just didn't know it yet. This is the entrance to President Yanukovych's private compound. Again, his guards had melted away. The revolution was in charge and trying their very best to keep order amongst the curious. Until today, the public had not been allowed in. Let me show you why. So this is the president's compound, which is huge, and this is his actual house. Today, a revolutionary flash mob. Until last night, this is where the president and his family lived. Call it Swiss chalet brutalism. It was built only 4 years ago, and it must have cost a tad more than the president's annual salary of about 50,000 euros. So where did the money for all this come from? He really wants to know. The man who was paid like a president clearly lived like a czar. Like us, the non-paying visitors to his stately home were rather nonplussed. And are you surprised?
Yes, we are stunned.
You're stunned?
It's stunned, exactly, yes.
Because it's so opulent?
Yes, you cannot imagine in any kind of, even the Thomas More utopia, you could not describe such glamorous and such huge buildings.
Despite the anger against the president, this was a very orderly occupation. They even lined up to use the loo. But the visit wasn't over yet. Next, animal farm like you've never seen it before. Yes, you guessed it. A private zoo. The peacocks, inevitably, and then the ostriches. They were rather confused. They'd never seen so many ordinary people. Okay, you might possibly understand why a president might want to live in a really opulent villa, have his own family compound, ornamental lakes, lots of security. But a private zoo? And this lot? It is the combination of absurd opulence and primitive brutality that will surely spell the president's doom. His animals were handled with care today by the crowd. He can expect a different treatment. Well, I think the lesson from all this is that a revolution shreds the best laid plans and ticks along to its own extraordinary timescale. Now, President Yanukovych in the eastern part of the country indicated today on state television that he wasn't going anywhere, and that was before he was stopped at the border, apparently, according to the Speaker of the Parliament, trying to get on a plane to Russia. Listen.
I'm not going to leave Ukraine or go anywhere. I'm not going to resign. I'm a legitimately elected president. I was given guarantees by all international mediators who I worked with. They gave me security guarantees. I will see how they fulfill that role.